Okay, this is the homework for Module 3, Lesson 7. This is word problems. It says solve the word problems using the RDW strategy. Show all of your work. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to read the word problem, then we're going to draw our tape diagram, solve it, and write. For my students, remember when we have a word problem, there's 4 parts of your answer. You have to have 1, the tape diagram. The second part is the equation. The third part is your answer, and because it's a word problem, your answer has to be in a sentence. So let's go ahead and read our problem first. It says, Christine baked a pumpkin pie. She ate 1/6 of the pie. Her brother ate 1/3 of it and gave the leftovers to his friends. What fraction of the pie did he give to his friends? So we want to know the fraction of the pie that he gave to his friends. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my tape diagram. I'm going to use a separate sheet of paper for this because I may need more space. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my pie. Okay, and in this case my pie is going to be rectangular. And I know that Christine ate 1/6 of it. And her brother ate 1/3 of it. And he said it gave the leftovers to his friends. So this is what was left over. Okay. And so this whole thing is one whole pie. So there's my tape diagram. Okay, and this leftovers, remember this is what he gave to his friends. So there's my part 1. Okay, my part 2 is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write my equation. Well, I want to, 2. I want to figure out what was left over. But I first need to figure out what they ate combined, Christine and her brother, so that I can figure out what was left over of the whole pie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 1/6 plus 1/3, and that's going to give me what Christine and her brother ate. Okay, so in order to add these, I have to find a common denominator, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use I'm going to go ahead and find the multiples of 6 and 3. So I have 6, 12, 18, and I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to go ahead and find the multiples for 3. I have 3, 6, and right there I can go ahead and stop because I can find my common denominator would be 6. And so I know that I need to have an equation where my common denominator is 6. So I have to ask myself, okay, what am I going to multiply 1/6 by so that my denominator stays a 6? That would be 1 1s. So 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6. What am I going to multiply 3 by to get 6? That means I would multiply it by 2, so I have to have 2 2's. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is my 6. I'm going to go ahead and add those up. So I have 1/6 plus 2/6. That equals 3/6. So I'm going to go back up here to my picture. So that means that this part equals 3/6. But I need to figure out what the friends ate. Okay, so I know that Christine and the brother both ate 3/6 of the whole pie. So if I have one whole pie and I take away what Christine and her brother ate, that's going to give me what was left, or this leftover, what I gave to the friends. So in order to take this away, remember we have to change that whole into a fraction. And so because this denominator is 6, I'm going to change this one into 6/6. And I'm going to subtract that from 3/6. So 6/6 minus 3/6 is 3/6. However, I do need to simplify this. I can divide 3 and 6 both by 3. So 3 over 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, my step number 4, this is step number 3 right here, my answer. Step number 4 is write a sentence. It says, what fraction of the pie, if I go back to the question, what fraction of the pie did he give to his friends? He gave 1/2 of the pie to his friends. Period. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. We'll go ahead and read number 2. Lang went to the bookstore. He spent 1/3 of his money on a pen and 4/7 of it on books. What fraction of his money did he have left? Now remember, he has a whole amount of money. We don't know exactly how much money he has, but we consider it as one whole. So when we look at this, we're going to go ahead and circle our important information. We know that he spent 1/3 of his money on a pen and 4/7 on books. They want to know how much money he had left over. So let's go ahead and draw our picture. This is for number 2. He has, this is all of his money, okay, or whole money, okay. He spent 1/3 of all the money he had on a pen. He spent 4/7 on books, and they want to know what is left over. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so again, in order to figure out what was left over, we want to go ahead and add up our pen and our books, and that's going to tell us how much he spent. So if I go ahead and I add 1/3 plus 4/7, that's going to tell me how much he spent total. Okay. And in order to do that, I need to find common units or common denominator. So I'm going to find the multiples of both 3 and 7. Sorry. So let's find the multiples of 3. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. I'm going to stop there. Then we have 7, 14, 21. Okay, so I know right here that my common denominator is going to be 21. So I'll go ahead and write my 21. That's going to be my denominator. So I need to ask myself, okay, what am I going to multiply 3 by in order to get 21? Well, I can go here and I can count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it would be 7/7. 1 times 7 is 7. 3 times 7 is my 21. And here, 1, 2, 3, I'd multiply this by 3/3, or 3/3. 4 times 3 is 12. 7 times 3 is 21. And I'm going to add those up. 7 21s plus 12 21s is 19 21s. So I know, going back to my picture, that he spent 19 21s of his money on a pen and a book. Well, we know that he has one whole amount of money. We don't know if it's $1, but it's one whole. So we're going to represent that as 1. And if we take away how much he spent, which is 19 21s, we can go ahead and figure out what was left over. So we're going to change this one whole, though, to a fraction so we can take it, so we can take 19 21s away from it easier. So I'm going to change, because that denominator is 21, I'm going to change it to 21 21s minus 19 21s. 21 21s minus 19 21s is 3 21s. And if we look at that one, oh, I'm sorry, not 3 21s. 19, 20, 21. 2 21s. I apologize about that one. 2 21s. Okay, so this is step 3. And step 4 is my sentence. Lang has 2/21 of his money left over. Period. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at number 3. Okay, number 3, Tiffany bought 2/5 kilograms of cherries. That's important, so I circled it. Linda bought 1/10 kilograms of cherries. I circled that. However, she bought 1/10 kilograms of cherries less than Tiffany. So that's really important right there. How many kilograms of cherries did they buy all together? So I want to know how many both Linda and Tiffany bought all together. Okay. So before I can figure out how many cherries they bought all together, I have to figure out how many cherries Linda bought, because I don't know how many cherries Linda bought. I know that she bought less than Tiffany, but not exactly how many she bought. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my tape diagram. This is Tiffany. She bought 2/5. But Linda bought 1/10 less. So I'd have to take away 1/10 to figure out how much Linda bought. And then I can go ahead and do Linda plus Tiffany's. And I know that Tiffany bought 2/5. So I have actually 2 tape diagrams. This is my first tape diagram to figure out how much Linda bought of cherries. And then once I figured that out, here's my second tape diagram where I have Tiffany and Linda's together, and that's going to give me the amount of cherries they bought. Kilograms of cherries. Okay, so let me first do this first one. If Tiffany bought 2/5, I would have to go ahead and subtract that 1/10, and that's going to give me, what Linda bought in cherries. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, and in order to do that, I need to find a common denominator. So I have to find the multiples of 5 and 10. So I have 5, 10, and then I have 10. Oh, there you go. So my common denominator is going to be 10. So what do I have to multiply 5 by to get 10? I would have to multiply it by 2, so it's 2/2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. There is my equivalent fraction. And now I'm going to change this one to an equivalent fraction. I know my denominator has to stay 10, so that means I'm going to multiply this by 1 ones. 1 times 1 is 1. 10 times 1 is 10. And I'm going to subtract it, so bring my subtraction symbol. 4/10 minus 1/10 equals 3/10. So Linda bought 3/10 of cherries. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in my tape diagram over here. So now I know, in order to figure out the answer that they asked, how many cherries did they buy all together, I'm going to go ahead and add 3/10 plus 2/5. Again, I need common denominators, but I already did the work here, and I know it's going to be 10. So what do I multiply 3/10 by to get denominator of 10? Multiply it by 1 ones. 3 times 1 is 3. 10 times 1 is 10. Plus, this is going to change to a 10. In order to make the denominator 5 a 10, I'm going to go ahead and multiply it by 2 halves. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. 3/10 plus 4/10 equals 7/10. So now I'm going to go ahead and write my sentence, which is my 4th step. And it says, okay, so Tiffany and Linda bought 7/10 kilograms of cherries altogether. There you go. There's your answer. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is on the back. Mr. Rivas bought a can of paint. He used, let me get my pen, sorry. He used 3/8 of it to paint a bookshelf. He used 1/4 of it to paint a wagon. He used some of it to paint a birdhouse. Okay, so he used some, we don't know how much. And has 1/8 of the paint left. How much paint did he use for the birdhouse? So this is our answer, how much he used for the birdhouse. So let me think about this while I'm drawing a tape diagram. Alright, so he has a whole can of paint. Here is my whole can of paint. Okay, and I know he used 3/8 of it for the bookshelf. He used 1/4 of it for a wagon. He used some for a birdhouse. And he had 1/8 left over. Okay. So if I'm looking at this, I have this plus this plus this plus this, and all of these added together is my whole can of paint. Right? So I'm thinking that if I took this away, this away, this away from my whole can of paint, I would be left with my birdhouse. But instead of going ahead and subtracting all of these from a whole can of paint, I can go ahead and I can just add all 3 of these up and then subtract it from a whole can of paint, and that's going to give me my birdhouse. So instead of having 2 fractions, I now have 3. No biggie. 3/8 plus 1/4 plus 1/8. This is going to tell me what we have used or what's left over. So I need to find a common denominator. So my denominators I have is 8, 4, and 8. 8, 16, 8, 16. Okay, 4, 8, and I knew that right away. So there is my common denominator. My common denominator is going to be 8. So I know that I need, oops, not 12, sorry, 8. So I know that all of these are going to be 8, and now I have to figure out my equivalent fractions. So what am I going to multiply this 8 by to get 8? I'm going to multiply it by 1/1. 3 times 1 is 3, 8 times 1 is 8. What am I going to multiply 4 by to get 8? I'm going to multiply it by 2, so I have 2 halves. 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8. What am I going to multiply by 8 on this one? Well, I already know, by 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 8 times 1 is 8. So now I can go ahead and add them up. 3/8 plus 2/8 I know is 5/8, plus 1/8 is 6/8. If I go back up here, I know that if I were to add this up and this up, it's going to give me 6/8 for both of these. But I want to know how much is left for the birdhouse. So if I take my 1 whole can of paint and I subtract what I used and what I had left over, which we figured out was 6/8, it's going to give me what I need, what I used for my birdhouse. Well, I can't subtract it with it being a 1, so I'm going to change it to a fraction. And because this denominator is 8, I'm going to keep my denominator 8. And if I have all of the 8, I'm going to have 8/8 minus 6/8, which equals 2/8. Okay? However, remember, because this can be simplified, we need to simplify it. And you can do it 2 ways. Remember, we can just automatically know that we can divide both of these by 2, which gives me 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4. Or we can do it this way, where we find what we multiply. 2 times 1, 2 times 4, right? These 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that leaves me with 1/4. And there would be my answer. So my sentence would be, Mr. Rivas used 1/4 of the can of paint on the birdhouse. There we go. Period. Alright, let's go ahead and do number 5. Okay, our very last one. I know these take a lot of thinking, but you can do it. Ribbon A is 1/3 meters long. It is 2/5 meters shorter than ribbon B. What is the total length of the two ribbons? Alright. Again, this is a multiple step one. It's going to take us a couple of steps to figure out the answer. I have no idea what to do yet. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I do the same thing that you guys do. As I look at it, I draw my picture and I try to figure it out. Okay, and I look at it to see if it makes sense. So I know ribbon A. Here's my ribbon A. And I know it says that it's 1/3 meters long. It is 2/5 meters shorter than B. So if ribbon A is shorter than B, I know that B has to be longer. By how much longer? It says right here, 2/5. So I know that this area right here is 2/5. Okay? That's because I don't know how long ribbon B is. Okay? That's my first picture. I need to figure out how long ribbon B is. My question, though, says, what's the total length of the two ribbons? So I actually need two pictures. Here's A. Here's B. Total length. So there's my total length. Sorry about that. So I do know, looking at the word problem, that A is 1/3, but I don't know yet what B is. I need to figure that out. So in order to figure that out, I have to go back here to this tape diagram and figure this out. Well, here's A, and then I know I have the 2/5. So if I add the 1/3 plus the 2/5, that's going to go ahead and give me B. So 1/3 plus 2/5 will give me what ribbon B equals. Okay? But my denominators are different, my units are different, so I need to find common denominators. I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and I have 5, 10, 15. I just wrote down the multiples. I'm going to go ahead and circle my common denominator, so that's going to be my new denominator. There's my new denominator. And then I have to ask myself, okay, well, what am I going to multiply 3 by to get 15? Well, I'm going to multiply that by 5, or 5/5. I can always go here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. 5/5. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 15 is 3 times 5 is 15. Plus, what am I going to multiply 5 by to get 15? I'm going to multiply it by 3/3. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. 5/15 plus 6/15 equals 11/15. So, therefore, B equals 11/15. So I'm going to come over here to this second tape diagram. And I know that this now equals 11/15. So if I go ahead and I add 1/3 plus 11/15, I'm going to go ahead and get the total length of both ribbons. My common denominator is going to be 15, and I know this because I look over here and I know that 15 is a multiple of 3, and I have 15 here. So that means I'm going to change this to 15/15. What did I multiply 3 by to get 15? Well, I multiplied it by 5. So 5/5. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. What did I multiply 15 by to get 15? I multiplied it by it 1 once. 11 times 1 is 11. 15 times 1 is 15. 5 15ths plus 11 15ths is 16 15ths. This is an improper fraction, so I have to go ahead and pull out a whole, which is 15 15ths, which leaves me with 1 15 left over. 15 15ths changes into 1 whole, and then I have 1 15th. So then my sentence would be, ribbon A and B are 1 and 1/15 meters long. There you go.